My topic is place not great. So, and the notion of defining terroir for British Columbia. Everything that Sid said, every single thing that Sid said was true. Because Sid said it. Okay, so my background, for 20 years, my job was buying wine for BCLTV, and I traveled all over the world. When I was doing that, I thought more and more, and dreamt more and more about what it would be like if we somehow realize the potential for great wine here. So that's what I care about, and I'm now involved in a project in the Okanagan, which, despite the fact that everything that Sid said was true, he's spectacularly managed not to mention any of the things that we do.
That's a weird job.
I don't know quite why that might be, but just to start somewhere, I think that the world of wine is complicated. Here in BC, the total sales of wine in a year are over $1 billion. 3/4 of that is imported. And of what is referred to as domestic wine, half of it isn't. It's wine that's imported and sold as if it's from British Columbia, which obviously doesn't help. If you think about what wine is, which is, first of all, an agricultural product. And for me, the most important thing about wine anywhere in the world is that it's a symbol, I think, that is massively important. If you care about environment and ecology, then, and if you care about the expression of place, wine really matters, because potatoes are wonderful, but they're not that important. People can start to get the idea by understanding that special wines, first and foremost, come from special places that matter. So, as far as wine in BC is concerned, we're late in the game. We will never be able to compete with big brands on a big scale. We can't begin to participate in commercial wine, even in our own market. So, we need a new paradigm, we need a new model, we need to focus on wine that is about place, not great, I believe. So, the point is that it's true that Syrah is a fantastic grape. It's great in the Barossa, it's great in the Rhone. I love Syrah because, in my belief, Syrah is a very, very clever grape variety. And it's spectacular that it is able to adapt to conditions in BC. This is where it starts. The grape variety is never, ever a destination. It's only ever a starting point. What matters about wine, what matters for us, is that if we need to make wines that have the distinction of place, that are identified by how they are unlike other wines, not how they are like them. So it's not about Syrah simply. It's about who Syrah, what Syrah, why Syrah. Syrah, wine is narrative. Wine is about story. I love to. How do you express that? My favorite story is that the the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms required the Internal Revenue Service in the United States to express the absolute value of a bottle of wine, not the bottle, not the lid, not the cork, not the capsule, the liquid inside. It was determined that 750 milliliters of wine is worth something like 97 cents. Perfect. So how come then $2 Chuck, it's $2, so it isn't $2 anymore. It was one time $2. And Chateau Petrus, when $2 Chuck came out, it was $2,500 a bottle. Last week, a case of DRC Roman Conti sold for $40,000 a bottle. Well, if the juice is only worth 93 cents, what's going on? It's because there's a story that is worth extra, there's incremental value. And that's what we have to do in BC is demonstrate that BC wine, which will always be expensive because we don't have very much land, because our costs are higher than anywhere and everywhere else, because we have the repressive regulations that we have. All of those things make it difficult for us to compete even in our own market. So for us to survive, we have to make wine that is about interest and is about more than just booze. So Syrah in BC is immensely interesting because what happens is that Syrah planted in BC is transformed by the special conditions that we have. And that's what matters. And what I love about BC Syrah is that it is lighter, fresher, juicier, more vibrant than any Syrah from anywhere in the world. Interesting. What is that? That is about the combination of climate and weather and geography and geology and soil and exposure and even the length of the day, the hours of sunlight and the amount of wind that we have in the Okanagan. It uses special conditions that produces something different than anywhere else. So, interesting for Syrah. Sid's point, Sid did well. No, I mean, we have 70 grape varieties. But it doesn't matter. It's not about the bloody grapes. It's about what happens after the grape. But Sid mentioned a lot of different wines, but he mentioned Riesling. Let's talk about the big stuff first. Riesling and Chenin Blanc. Row 13, Chenin Blanc, Tantalus Riesling, Sperling Riesling. They have something in common. It's not the grape, it's the age of the vines. And one of the reasons that those wines are great is that the vines are old enough that they're starting to express the special character of the place where they're planted. This is massively important. And what happens then? It doesn't matter. The difference between the varietal difference isn't important. The similarity that bridges grape variety is more important. And if you look at row 13 Chenin, it is mineral. It has a very, very emphatic apple and citrus character. It is defined by vibrancy, fresh acidity. Exactly the same as Tantalus Riesling, Stone Oak, Pinot Gris, Sperling Riesling. They have BC-ness, they have placeness, they have the character of the Okanagan. And that is what matters to me, and that's what, if we can't add something to the narrative, there's already too much wine in the world. There's already plenty of wine that's cheap. We have to produce wine that is distinctive, that's different, that says something new. Certainly we have let's say we focus on nothing but the varieties that Sid mentioned. Great. Now our work starts. And what we have to do is adapt our farming, which we've learned that focusing first on the soil and farming practices makes a massive difference. Okanagan Crush Pad, these began in conventional farming because we had no choice for complicated reasons. We're now doing organic viticulture. We know a lot about the soil, and we've completely changed the viticultural practices so that we have much less foliage, which is a chronic problem in our location on the planet. And with our very long hours of sunlight and our late start of the growing season, the plant tries to put too much energy into leaf. What happens is, first of all, there's too much shade for the bunches. Without maximum sun in an already abbreviated growing season, you tend to get fruit that is underfruited, that isn't ripe enough. If you give plants a chance to fulfill their potential by organizing the vine spacing, by using correct pruning, which is historically in the Okanagan has been an absolute disaster, by prohibiting the overfoliation of the plants, you get something really different and really special that can express something beyond varietal character, which is the first step in appreciating wine. And what you get is something that is infinitely more interesting. So just, things that we've learned. No one really knew about soil in the Okanagan. Many of the best terroirs in the world are limestone, chalk, and there's no White Cliffs of Dover in BC. So we were aware of the existence of calcium in the soil, which is what grapes crave more than anything else. But actually, the sandy soils in the Okanagan in many places are absolutely full of calcium carbonate, which is as Pedro Paca, our soil guy, says, for the vine, he's hairy. So if you have to know, but you have to know it's there first, and you have to adapt for it. But that can, the minerality of our wine comes from somewhere. It's not just weather; it comes from soil too. A defining characteristic of a lot of BC wines is the taste of grapefruit and grapefruit wine. And it's interesting that a lot of our soils are very, very high in potassium. There's a very strong relationship between potassium and grapefruit. So this notion of the taste of place is real. A lot of the sand in the Okanagan is actually decomposed granite. And almost every single great Syrah that I know of, certainly name every one of them, are where the vines are grown in relation to granite. And you get this dusty character. That comes from the environment. And it's very special and it's very precious. And something that we really love about our wines. It's amazing how BC wines is developing. If you think about beyond the Okanagan, it's astonishing. At Sid, I don't think you did mention any Pinot Noirs from Preston, but there are great wines being made in the Kootenays. The distance from the Kootenays, where there's great Syrah, great Pinot Noir, very excellent Pinot Noir, Baby Roman also excellent Pinot Noir, 15.2 alcohol. The distance from there to Averill Creek in Cowichan is much farther than the distance from Bordeaux to Burgundy or from Rhone to Avignon. So you would expect that there's great difference. And the exciting thing for wine in British Columbia, I think, is focusing on place, understanding how significant places and how specifics of place create difference, and difference is always more fun than the same old. And certainly, even within the Okanagan, at Switchback Vineyard, you look, which is in Summerland, you look across the lake to Naramata, and you see the sand cliffs on the east side of the lake. The conditions on just across the lake, a mile or two, are profound. Differences between morning sun and evening sun are incredible, and the wines are potentially very, very different. So my belief is that what we need to do in BC is to focus on how unique and how special our environment is. Remind ourselves that through our history, great wine has always come from marginal conditions. Champagne is great because Champagne at 50 degrees north is on the very fringe of where wine grows. Chablis and Bourgogne and Moselle and Burgundy are all places where wines struggle. All the things that we used to be self-consciously insecure about. We used to just take for granted that our wine could never equal the wine of California because California is warmer, closer to Hollywood. It's funny how life goes around, comes around, and there's an awareness now in the world that actually cool is cool. In Australia, all of the wines that are most highly valued now are from places like Mornington Peninsula, Tasmania, high altitude Victoria, Western Australia, all places that have conditions that approach but aren't even close to being as edgy, as marginal, and as cool as us. So what that means is that I think in British Columbia we have a fantastic future. The future, though, is taking a step beyond the grape and looking at place, looking at origin, and looking at what really gives interest and an extra dimension to wine. So anyway, here's the future of wine we see.